Welcome to the Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Glen Ritter. Welcome back for another week of Minnesota Sports Talk. Looking forward to going through a lot of things with you tonight. Going to talk a little bit of Twins. Not a whole lot to talk about there, just how disappointing the season is to start out with, and just how disappointed I am in the ownership. Don't want to spend too much time on that. Don't want to really start with the negative, but I think I got to get that stuff out of the way first before I get into the stuff that I really want to talk about, and that's the Minnesota Wild and Timberwolves. They're both going to be finishing up their seasons over the next week and a half, and both are looking to make the playoffs. So really want to talk about kind of those scenarios, what's going to be happening with those teams, what to look forward to, what happened this past week. Some big news for the Wild. They finally got Kirill Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson back, which is fantastic. They played last night. Eriksson had 4 goals. Kaprizov had 2 goals in their first game back, which was just crazy. Was expecting some rust, and it didn't. There wasn't any rust to be found when they're scoring goals like that. Defense was not very good. Obviously, giving up 7 goals to the San Jose Sharks is not your ideal situation, especially when it was Marc-Andre Fleury's essentially last home start, regular season start anyway, for the Minnesota Wild in his career. So it was kind of disappointing that the game was that close. We went into overtime and won that game. So we'll talk more about that. Timberwolves are in right now. They're sitting in the 8th spot out in the Western Conference, and the Western Conference is just crazy right now with the way that the teams are looking right now, because every team 4 through 8 is separated by maybe a game and a half, and even the 3rd spot held by the Lakers are only like 2.5 games up over the Timberwolves, who are sitting in the 8th spot. So I'm gonna talk about some of those scenarios as well. What's going to be happening potentially? Their last game is Sunday. They've only got 3 games left over this next week, and they're going to be hoping to stay out of that play-in game. Between the 7th and 8th seeded teams. So I think the first 8 are all set. 9 and 10 are all set as well. But anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Welcome in, and definitely throw some comments in the chat if you have any questions to ask me tonight during the show. But I'll be right back. We're going to listen to some sponsors.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, welcome back to the Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Definitely check out all of the sponsors, guys. They do a great job helping us out here. Planet Jerky, Beef Jerky, premium brisket beef jerky, absolutely fantastic. I just got another delivery over the weekend, and bought like 6 separate packages, some for here at home. My wife loves it as well, so initially wanted to hide more of them in my office, but I only grabbed 2 to put in my my desk at work. Anyway, but definitely a great product. Check them out. Vital Apparel, use the code IESR and get 15% off your order. They got great workout apparel. And also proceeds go to a great cause, mental health, helps with mental health initiatives. So if you need some new workout gear, check it out. They've got great stuff. As you can't see my my gut hanging out, but I need to invest in some of that too. But anyway, and then Seal the Deal wax seals, which NB, those again, a great product. If you've got any kind of invitations or things like that you're sending out, you needed something to make it a little a little bit over the top, that's a great thing to invest in. And then, of course, make sure that you follow all of us on IESR on YouTube. We're trying to get some more subscribers there. We've got a good number. Just trying to get a few more subscribers there. But you can find us all on X, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere out there. And then also don't forget our newest sponsor, which is Raw Nutrition Supplements. I also use their protein shakes in the morning. It's a grass-fed whey product. That is it's really good. It's a great way to start out the morning. As I drive on my commute to work, I always have one of those shakes to help get me through most of the morning until I get to need a mid-morning snack and get some of that jerky to tide me over until I get to lunch. So great products there. And again, you can find me on Bold on X or Twitter. At boldnorth_IESR, or that's for my professional page, and also Gritter13 is my personal accounting X account. So you can follow me on either one. Always talking sports, anything Minnesota sports related. You'll hear some of my opinions and see some of those things, and so definitely check me out. And then also, if you're really liking the show, I encourage you to join our supporters club, and just right there, it's got the website right there on the page. If you can see that. If not, if you're just listening or watching later on YouTube or on Spreaker or Spotify, anything like that, you're listening to a podcast later, it's Spreaker.com/podcast/the Bold North Breakdown and /support. So, yeah, check that out. It's $5 a month. If you can do it, great. Would love to have your support. If you do be a supporter of my show in particular, it does go to help all of the other shows that we have going on across the country. We've got 30 plus shows, hitting all of the major sports markets across the country. Some are dedicated to specific sports, like there's a racing show. There's one dedicated to volleyball. There's one dedicated to hockey. I was just on the Neutral Zone with Adam Karnick and Zach Puplis. Just this week, I was a guest on their show, so talking some hockey with them. So anyway, but what ends up happening is that anybody that supports my show, that also helps support all of the other shows and keeps this site up and running. So definitely check that out and jump in if you can. Again, $5 a month. If you become a member, I'll definitely do shout outs to you during every one of my shows, and have you on monthly or however often you want to jump on and be a guest for a segment or part of the show or the whole show. I know that when I did the show with the Neutral Zone guys, it was great to have somebody else to banter back and forth with. So I'm kind of got a little accustomed to that. But if you want to jump on and talk about whatever sport you're interested in, whatever team you're interested in, I'll do my research and we'll have a good conversation about it. Before I get into all of my all of my subjects here that I've got, I want to just look into the comments. So first of all, Taryn Rodriguez, thanks for joining in, Taryn. Taryn is the host of the Set Point, which is that volleyball show, but also the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. So he handles everything Southern California, and then anything volleyball related. He's an expert on and does a show. Also does that show once a week as well. So I hope to join you, Taryn, at some point once the Gopher volleyball team gets playing in the fall. To talk about the Gopher volleyball team, because I love watching them play. So we'll talk about them later on. But again, thanks for tuning in, Taryn. And then Brian, who is from Boston, he hosts the Beantown Sports Pound show every week and handles all the Boston sports. He's fairly new. I think been going on about a month and a half, 2 months, something like that with Brian. I think I'm right with that. But he's been doing a great job with all of the shows, with all of his information about the Boston area sports. So I know that he's probably anxiously awaiting the results of the Frozen Four games because his Boston team is going to be playing in the next game after. Let me see. Right before I came on, I saw that Western Michigan and Denver were tied at 2 and going into overtime. So if anybody has the updated results, throw that in the comments, and I'll mention it to everybody watching if they're not able to check in on that. But anyway, so now I get some. Okay, I just need to be able to express my frustrations now. I had a lot of good stuff that I was talking about there, and now I'm going to kind of take the show in a little bit of a different direction, and that's what I'm going to talk about the Twins. The Twins have been they've just been a pretty disappointing team. When I look at the way that they finished last season, and through the last 50 games, going back into last season when they had the huge meltdown at the end of the season, they are 15-35 in those 50 games. Second worst record in all of Major League Baseball. Behind, can anybody guess? The Chicago White Sox. They were the only team that had a worse record during that time. So right now they're sitting at 4-9. They lost again today. Lost 3 of 4 to Kansas City. Granted, yesterday's game there was a 4-0 win. Joe Ryan pitched a good game in that game, but at this point, the teams started out. Let's see, they went 0-3 the first series against St. Louis, and then went 1-2. Or maybe they went 1-2 against St. Louis, and then another 1-2 again. They went 2-1 against Chicago. So it was 0-3 to start against St. Louis. Then they lost one to Chicago, the White Sox, and then they won 2 more. And so then at 2-4, which was kind of crazy, that at that point every single team in the Central Division was all 2-4 at that time. So if everybody was tied for first place, everybody was tied for last place. However you want to think about that. But right now. And after that, then they came home. They had a home opener against Houston. Usually the home opener is a big game. There's usually a big turnout for that game. There were 36,783 fans in attendance for that first game against Houston. Then day 2 dropped down to 16,082 attendees. Now, the weather wasn't great, but still. You would expect more fans to be there, a little bit more excitement for the team. But the tough part is that the fan or the ownership has just shown over the last year and a half that they do not care about the fans at all. They don't care about trying to put a winning team out on the field. 2023 was a fantastic season. It renewed my energy in the team. Growing up in the 80s, watching baseball, I loved watching Kirby Puckett, Kent Herbeck, Gary Gaetti, Tom Bernansky, Frank Viola, all of those guys, Burt Blyleven. And it was great to see them win the World Series in 87 and 91. But it was a different time for baseball back then. Back then, pretty much every team was, kind of had a chance to be successful. Since then, especially lately, if you don't have an ownership group that's willing to spend money, if you don't have an ownership group like the Dodgers or the Mets or the Yankees, somebody that's willing to spend $50 million on a player or 60 or 70 million, you're just not going to, you're never going to be able to really truly compete. I mean, yeah, you can try and develop players, and that's what happened in 2023. A lot of their young guys came up, they came together, they added a player there. I think they added that was the year they added Carlos Correa, which was essentially it was a 3-year deal, but he could opt out after the first year, which he did. But it was one of those things where they just, after that season, the ownership group, and this is where it kind of takes me to this next one. Because there was somebody, I saw somebody post something on X today of, if you're the Twins GM, what would you do? And as much as I would like to just fire the poll lads as the ownership group, I know that that's not really something I could do. But after the 2023 season, they ended in 0-19 postseason losing streak. The team had lost 19 postseason games in a row, set a professional sports record for having the longest losing streak, which I think was going on about 20 years. I think they had last won a playoff game in like 2002 or 2003, something like that, against might have been against the A's with that Moneyball team. I don't know. Anyway, they finally win a game. They beat Toronto to advance to the next round of the playoffs. They take on Houston. They compete with Houston, but in the end, they ended up faltering, and their season ended there against Houston. And so it was, but it was a great season. Everybody was excited for it. Excited with the results and thinking, okay, let's keep it going. Sonny Gray was going to be a free agent. He was a huge part of that pitching rotation. Let's bring him back. Let's try to fill somebody else in there, because they're like, oh, well, he's going to want, over $20 million a year. And that's just, not something that the Twins have ever really wanted to do outside of Carlos Correa. That's the only time that they've really spent money on a free agent from outside the organization. But never on pitchers. Anyway, after that season, the ownership group and the general manager, it was the ownership group really that made the comment that said that they needed to right size the payroll, which meant that we're going to be cutting about $30 million off the payroll in 2024. So as a fan, you're like, okay, help me understand this, right? You have just had the best season in forever. Your team finally advanced around in the playoffs. Let's see what we need. Let's see what we need how we need to reinvest in the team to help to make it be a winner. It was now, sorry, we got to cut payroll by $30 million, and we're not sure, because we're not sure about this TV deal. We can't, if we don't have this local TV revenue, then we're going to be losing way too much money to be able to spend more on payroll. So what ends up happening is that, the players that are in the organization still came out, and, they had a slow start to the season last year. And so this year they could turn it around too, but we'll see. But they, had a slow start to the season. Then they really got hot for a while, and guys, Royce Lewis was just ripping the cover off the ball, just doing really well. But then it came to trade deadline, and some guys had gotten hurt. Joe Ryan had injured his elbow, was out for the season. Chris Paddock was coming off of Tommy John surgery, and so he wasn't going to be back until later in the year. Byron Buxton finally played over 100 games last year, but that was the first time in forever. Royce Lewis gets hurt again, which is kind of a common theme. There's injuries, right? Which happens to every team. But when you don't have enough able bodies behind them to back them up and to step in when somebody does get hurt that you can lean on, things fall apart. So the Twins were like one of a couple of teams that didn't really make a single trade at the trade deadline, which to me sets a signal to not only the fans, but the players in the clubhouse. Like, listening to guys talk from the 87 and 91 teams when they would add a bat or add a pitcher like they did during those seasons, it energized the team. They're like, oh yeah, the ownership believes in us. Let's go. We got another bat. We brought in Don Baylor in 87. Chili Davis was signed as a free agent, I think, before the 91 season because they needed a veteran DH. Awesome. But with this team, they're like, their thing was, well, some of these guys are hurt. Chris Paddock has been hurt. Now he's going to be coming back. That's like adding another player to our pitching rotation. We don't need to trade for anybody. We're getting one right here. Come on. No fan out there really believes that is a viable option for helping the team think that they're getting some additional support for the stretch run. So that's part of the reason why you're not going to see, I've got my Wolves jersey on tonight. You're not going to see me wearing a Twins jersey until the Polehead sell the team. So that's I'll just let everybody know that. And I don't know if you guys had ever seen this, but I did have a Josh Donaldson bobblehead sitting up on my on the shelf up there behind me. That has been removed. If I could get a Twins flag, I would probably get one and hang it upside down behind me. Just kind of to show that the team is in distress. But that's how I feel about the Twins. So it's hopefully they turn it around and they can win back some fans. But I'm just at a point of like, I really am not going to be all that interested in seeing how they do. I'll probably touch base on my shows for a couple of minutes, maybe when, to give a record update every week or something along those lines. But for the most part, when you see my comments on Twitter, it's going to be a lot of, when are you selling the team? When are the poll ads going to move on? Because it's really disappointing, and it makes for a tough summer. So maybe I'll be spending a lot more time outside this summer, but otherwise I'm going to be wearing a lot of Timberwolves gear, Wild gear, and then a couple of weeks is the draft, the NFL draft. So I know I'm going to be wearing a lot of Viking stuff over the summer as well too. So anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk some more. We're going to talk some Wild and then Timberwolves to finish out the show. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you with the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
All right. Welcome back to the Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Make sure you check out those guys' shows. They do a great job. Ricky K with the New York State of Mind covers everything New York related. Covers all those teams. Does a great job. And then obviously, Zach and Adam with the Neutral Zone. Again, got to give you guys a shout out for having me on this week on Tuesday night. It's great to talk hockey with you guys. Check those guys out. They do a great job. I think Tuesdays at 8 o'clock Central, so 9 o'clock Eastern. They do a great job. They cover all the bases when it comes to hockey. That's college hockey. It's NHL and everything in between. So. Check those guys out. But speaking of hockey, let's talk a little bit about the Minnesota Wild. We did get a chance to talk with them. Did a little contender or pretender segment for regarding the Minnesota Wild, saying that they were sitting in Tuesday night. They were in 8th place in the Western Conference, so that second wild card spot. A couple of points behind the St. Louis Blues, and trying to figure out what was going to be happening with the team, whether are they going to make the playoffs, and even if they do, are they going to do anything in the playoffs? So, in my estimation during that show, I talked that I think that the Wild are going to make the playoffs. At that time they had a 4-point, I think a 4-point lead, but over Calgary for that last playoff spot. But Calgary had a game in hand. So it was going to be tight. Last night, the Wild finally got Kirill Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson back, and it was huge, right? They've been out for about 6 weeks now. I think both of them have missed over half the season. With injuries and it's been really tough to watch, because without Kaprizov, offensively the team just doesn't have a whole lot of firepower, so it's easier for other teams to really shut them down. Boldy is decent. He scores some goals. Marco Rossi scores some goals. Matt Zuccarello helps set those guys up, and he throws in a few here and there as well. But they've just been limping along this towards the end of the season, and it has been a rough last couple of months, really, ever since early December. And I told them during the show, I was like, after November, the Wild were in really good shape. At one point, they had the most points in the league. They had, Philip Gustafsson was one of the best goalies as far as save percentage and goals against. But then they started dealing with the injuries. So then last night they played San Jose, ended up winning 8-7 in overtime. So it was ugly giving up 7 goals to San Jose, because they're not a very good team. And you would expect that the defense for the Wild would have played a lot better. But they didn't. Marc-Andre Fleury got the start. I wasn't sure that he was, when I was on the Neutral Zone on Tuesday, I really wasn't sure who was going to be starting. I kind of thought that Gustafsson was going to start 3 of the 4 remaining games. But they let Fleury get the start last night against San Jose. kind of making the announcement that it's going to be his last home start, regular season start anyway, for the Wild. And actually, who knows if what happens in the playoffs when they have a home game. Anyway, so they gave up 7 goals. One guy that was not available, and I didn't even realize this when I was on the show on Tuesday, was Jake Middleton, who had also gotten injured earlier in the season, and they had a really rough patch when he was injured. He had broken a finger on a block shot right at the first shift of the game, and was out for a few weeks. And during that time, they were having some difficulties there. So last week, and again, I don't know how I didn't see this earlier, but in the game against, I believe it was against the Islanders, Jake Middleton got hit from behind by Bo Horvat, who got called for a boarding penalty, but it was a 2-minute penalty. But he went head first right into the boards, got a concussion, is to my understanding, and has been out since. So that's been a few games, obviously, and just. It was disappointing that I know that the coaches were talking about why wasn't that a major penalty? Why wasn't a 5-minute major? Because of how hard he went into the boards. But it happened 5 days ago, something like that. I think yeah. So it was the 3-1 loss on Friday night to the Islanders. So after that, they did actually win 2 games. They beat the Stars 3-2 in overtime. On Sunday, which was a fantastic win. To beat the Stars is always great, especially in overtime. So they picked up that second point. Getting to overtime at this point of the year when you're just trying to stack points in the standings to try and stay ahead of some teams was always good. But then if you can pick up that second point with the overtime win, that's even better. So Sunday against Dallas, it was Marco Rossi sitting kind of right off to the right of the goalie, or to the goalie's right. Great pass to him. He just is able to redirect it past the goalie in overtime, and they got the win. Then last night's game. Okay, so if you haven't checked the scores or the box score from that game last night, I've got the Wild app on my phone, and it was just going off like all night. Because Kaprizov scored early. I think Johansson got the first goal, and Marcus Johansson. And anyway, so Kaprizov gets one, and I'm like, oh, great. Okay, there isn't a whole lot of rust on these guys, right? Because they haven't played in a month and a half at least. So Kaprizov scores. Eriksson Ek gets 4 goals. Not just a hat trick. He gets 4 goals in the game. His first game back, and he's not much of a goal scorer. I think those were his 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th goals of the season. So pretty crazy. So anyway, so they obviously showed no rust whatsoever. And anyway, they had a 7-4 lead, gave up 3 goals in the third period. Because the Sharks do have some good offensive players. Macklin Calabrini, who was a first overall pick just this past draft, I believe, but a young goal scorer. So but that was good. So now right now the Wild are sitting at 93 points. They are actually tied with the Blues at 93 points. However, Minnesota has a game in hand. So technically the Wild are in the 7th, in the first wild card spot, and the Blues are in the 2nd wild card spot. So they've got 93 points with 80 games, through 80 games. The rest of the schedule for the Wild, we're taking on Calgary tomorrow night, which is going to be huge, right? You get a regulation win against Calgary that pretty much seals you're going to be the Wild are going to be in the playoffs. It'll be okay. Is it the first wild card or second wild card at that point? But whatever, they would definitely be on. After that, then they play at Vancouver on Saturday. So I'm guessing Gustafson's probably going to be starting Friday night against Calgary, knowing that they need to get that win, but because they want to have him sharp, and he's been the goalie that has played the best between him and Flower. It's been Gustafson that's really been a little bit more dependable of a goalie. So that's Saturday, and then on Tuesday of next week is the final home game of the season for the Wild, and they're going to be playing at home against Anaheim, who, if I was to look at the standings, I believe is very close to the bottom in the Western Conference. So definitely looking like they should get one of those wild card spots. If they get the first one, that means they would probably be taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. If they get the second one, then they'd be taking on the Winnipeg Jets. So neither one is a great matchup for them. I kind of feel like when you get to the playoffs, sometimes the points scored or the team points doesn't matter as much as it does the matchups. And I feel like the Wild have played against it a little bit better against the Winnipeg Jets than they have against the Golden Knights. So I kind of wouldn't mind either spot, maybe even pulling for the 8th spot, the second wild card, but it is what it is. We'll just see what they can do. But I think if Middleton is back and everybody else stays healthy, they're going to be a pretty tough team. And then who knows if they're able to sign Zeev Buium after the Denver team is eliminated from the Frozen Four, which I haven't heard if anybody if somebody scored a goal there in that game to end that one when they're playing Western Michigan right now. And so far I have not seen anything, but if anybody out there knows, let me know. But it's all, everything that they're talking about with this Zeev Buium, and I did try to watch one of their playoff games before in the round before making to the Frozen Four. And he's a good looking defenseman. He's a really good skilled skater. They're making comments about him similar to Cale Makar, which I don't know if I believe that, because that's some pretty rare air that you're talking about. But if he can do what Brock Faber did 2 years ago, when the Wild signed him after his season with the Gophers ended, and he played a couple of games during the regular season, played so well that they had him active and starting in one of the top 6 defensive pairings in the playoffs, and he's played pretty well. And since then, he's been just dynamite. He's he was in the Frozen Four. Sorry, not Frozen Four, but the Four Nation Faceoff for the U.S. team. Had one. He's one of the leading minute players for the USA team. U.S. team. So if he could be a defenseman like that, wow! I'm looking forward to the future with him and being on the team, even if he doesn't necessarily start getting a lot of ice time here this season with the Wild. But that's kind of where it looks right now. If they win out, they're going to be in the they'll be in that first wild card spot. Looking at the other teams, St. Louis plays at Seattle, and then home versus the Utah Hockey Club. So Zach and Adam, I don't know if you guys want to tweak your drop about the neutral zone, because Phoenix doesn't have a team anymore, but I digress. Anyway, so that's who they're playing. Calgary's, obviously they're playing at home against Minnesota on Friday. Then they're playing at home against San Jose, at home versus Vegas. And that's on Tuesday. And then on Thursday of next week, they're going to have to play one more game, because their game earlier in the season, this will be at the Los Angeles Kings. because of the wildfires over the summer, or not over the summer, but several months ago when all of that was taking place. The game that they had scheduled against the Kings was canceled. I think it was from early January, and got rescheduled for after the season. So they're playing on Thursday, a week from today, against the Kings. So that game may not matter at all, but you just don't know. So anyway, so that's it for the Wild. We're going to take another quick little break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
How we doing, sports fans? This is Christian Harvey, your host of Gritsville, USA, your go-to show for all things Detroit and Michigan here on IE Sports Radio. Whether you're here for Gritty Lions talk, getting pumped up for the great Detroit sports renaissance, or hating on your neighbor depending on if they were green or blue, we got you covered. Whether you're in the East, West, or Central, we got you covered. Join me as we tackle through all that the great state of Michigan has to offer in the world of sports. Catch me, Christian Harvey, each week on Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, welcome back to the Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Make sure you check out those guys' shows. Mike Pat with the let me see, I wrote it down here. What's the name of his show is Let's Whine About DMV Sports. So he's definitely has some adult beverages that he partakes in and talks about during each of his shows, but also talks about DC. Maryland, Virginia, sports in that area. And then Christian Harvey also, and he does has a Gritsville USA show, all things Detroit. So it talks about the Lions, Tigers, Red Wings, all of those teams. And then Mike Pat also is part of the Bullpen Bulletin. So you can check out his show as well. They talk about all things baseball. Check out their shows over the course of the week. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the Timberwolves. So the Timberwolves, here's what happened over the past week, right? So they had a huge game where they beat beat the Nuggets in double overtime. That was a little more than a week ago, so I talked about it on the last week's show. But it was just a huge game where they had that 140 to 139 victory in double overtime. And I think they kind of broke Denver. I don't know. That's the only explanation I have, right? Is because, after that, Denver went on a 4-game losing streak. Then I think it had to have been, it was on Tuesday that they fired Mike Malone as the head coach. And I don't know if that got in the Timberwolves' head that they think that they're so good that they could kind of let up on a team. Because after that game, they beat the Nets in Brooklyn, 105-90. Then they beat the 76ers in Philly, 114 to 109. But those teams they should have really routed, and should have blown them out. Then they played the Milwaukee Bucks. Through 3 quarters, they were playing great. They had a 20-point lead going into the 4th quarter, and built it up to a 24-point lead with 10 minutes left in the game, and blew it. Which again is kind of par for the course for Minnesota sports fans. It was one crazy thing that I heard about that game is that there's been 2 games where a team came back from 24, being down by 24, to win, which had really, it was very rare that ever happened, but it's happened twice this year. And the Timberwolves were involved in both of those games. Crazy, right? They were on the good end of one of those wins, which was coming back to beat Oklahoma City after being down 24, and then losing to the Bucks. And not just losing to the Bucks, because it wasn't like it was just a 1-point loss or anything. They lost by 7. So they got outscored 40-13 in the 4th quarter. At one point, Milwaukee went on a 23-0 run in the 4th quarter. How does that happen? That just it just boggles the mind. And it happened on Tuesday night when I was on the Neutral Zone show, so I really wasn't able to watch it. And I remember getting on my phone after I was done and kind of relaxing on the couch, and saw I think Dan from the Wisconsin Whistle posted something on our little chat app about the Bucks pulling out the victory, and I'm like, what? And talking about how big of a comeback it was. Oh, okay. So I had to go back and look at what happened, and it was a little disappointing. So now, at that point, it was disappointing because they controlled their own destiny. So if they had won all 4 of their games, they could conceivably have ended up in the 3rd playoff spot in the West, because there are 5 teams that all have a very similar record. Starting with the Lakers in the 3rd spot right now, they're at 49-31. Then right behind them is Denver, who's 48-32 right now. Then the Clippers are at 48-32 as well. Then we have the Grizzlies at 47-32. Then you got the Warriors at 47-33, and the Timberwolves in their 8th right now at 46-33. So the Wolves could finish anywhere between 3rd and 8th. Could have. Now they're likely to end up, they could potentially even get all the way up to 4th, but if they win out, they'll for sure be at least in 6th place, from what I've heard, according to Alan Horton, who's the Minnesota Timberwolves radio voice. So he was on the talk show as I was driving home from work today, mentioning that. So if they win out, they'll be at 49 wins, be 49-33. But because of the other matchups between all of the other teams, they'll end up for sure in 6th place. Because right now, I think it's based on tiebreakers, right? Because right now, the Grizzlies have the tiebreaker over the Timberwolves if they finish with the exact same record. But if once you get to 3 or 4 teams all having the same record, which is crazy because there could be multiple teams all with the same record at the end of the season. So when I was looking at the various schedules, so they've got so like I said, the Wolves they're playing tonight against Memphis, who after they fired their coach really was in a free fall, but they've kind of bounced back lately, and so we'll see how we can do it there. But we're playing at Memphis tonight as on TNT is the second half of the doubleheader. So they're supposed to start about 8:30 Central Time. So in about they're supposed to start in about 35 minutes. It was probably going to be closer to another 45 to 50 minutes from now, but we'll see how that goes. And then after that, they're playing at home against the Nets and home against the Jazz. Neither one of those teams has anything to play for. So they have a very good, if they win tonight, they have a very good chance of finishing, of winning all three games, because really both the Nets and Jazz are really going to be hoping for lottery luck. I think the Jazz are tied with Washington for the worst record in the NBA. They're both in that, who can have the best odds to get Cooper Flag. So I think that they would, since they're playing here in Minnesota on Sunday, this is the last game of the regular season with all of the teams. So there's a pretty good chance that the Wolves should win that one. But so if they win out, they'd be at least in sixth place, because then let's see, the Warriors play Portland and the Clippers. So they're playing against the Clippers in one of those games. That's one of those teams that's in that same group. Grizzlies play the Wolves. They play the Nuggets, and then they play Dallas. And Dallas has been fading fast without Luka. So they should be able to win that game. But the Nuggets is, again, a tough matchup. So the Grizzlies have both the Wolves and the Nuggets on their schedule. That could push them down in the standings. Clippers play the Kings and the Warriors both on the road. So Warriors against the Clippers. Again, it's going to be one of them has to lose. So that means at the best, one of those teams could be at 49. Well, I guess the Clippers could potentially get up to 50 because they're at 48 and 32 right now. So they could get up to 50 wins, which would put them ahead of the Timberwolves. But if the Warriors win one game, that puts them at 48 wins, and then to beat the Clippers would be at 49. So again, they would potentially be ahead of the Timberwolves as well. Then you get the Nuggets at 48 and 32. They're playing the Grizzlies and then Houston. So Houston is sitting in the number 2 seed. Nobody's going to catch them. Nobody's going to catch OKC. So those two spots are locked in to the playoffs. But anything 3 through 8 with the Lakers, Lakers are at 49 and 31 right now. They play Houston and then at Portland. So I think the Portland game for them is a pretty much a gimme that they're going to be winning that game and staying ahead of the Wolves. But it's going to be an interesting stretch run the next week or not even through this weekend. By the end of Sunday, all of these the standings should be ironed out. So it's going to be interesting to see which team is able to stay out of the play-in game and be in that top 6. Because right now, as a game and a half separates the Nuggets from the Timberwolves. A game and a half, that's it. So it's going to be very easy for somebody to potentially jump up it's going to be a bloodbath. Let's just say that. It's just crazy. I've never seen anything like this where there's been so many teams that all are going to be coming down to the end of the season with such similar records. But the way that the NBA has this all set up for the play-in game and stuff has been really good, because it's kind of like the NFL, how you're playing you're playing your division teams at the end those last couple of games of the season. NBA is doing the same thing. So all these teams that are in that same mix are all going to be facing each other. So, like I said, the Warriors play the Clippers, Nuggets play the Grizzlies, Grizzlies play the Wolves, and the Nuggets. Who else? Who am I forgetting? Yeah, and then the Lakers play Houston as well too. So, anyway, so it's just when gets to this point in the season, it's just awesome to see how all of that kind of shakes out. But anyway, again, thanks for tuning in tonight. It was a great show. I loved every minute of it. Going to be kind of starting to play my intro music here. Great having everybody that tuned in. Thank you so much. Again, I'll be back on next Thursday, but next week I'm going to be talking a lot of football because that means we're going to be a week out from the NFL draft, and I'm definitely going to be talking a lot about the Vikings draft. Then the following week, I'm actually going to be on Wednesday night because I'm going to be traveling out of town for a conference out to Columbus, Ohio. So Jen, maybe I'll see you around there in Columbus. I don't know if you actually live in Columbus or not, but I know that that's the area that you cover with your show. So anyway, so I'm going to be that one's going to be switching to a Wednesday night. So next week at 7 here I'll be back on Thursday night talking Vikings, and then kind of however the playoff things look for the Wild and Timberwolves, and then kind of whatever else is popping up in the world of sports, Minnesota sports. So yeah, just I'll be back. Check all those out. And again, I encourage you to check out all of our sponsors. Planet Jerky Beef Jerky. Follow me here on Twitter, X, whatever, at boldnorth_IESR, or my personal page at Ritter13. And I encourage you to become a supporter as well. So if you like the show, love to hear any feedback that you've got, good or bad. I'm always looking to improve my show. If there's things that you want me to talk about that I'm not touching on, if you have a different insight, let me know. I'd love to hear it, and love to banter back and forth with anybody out there that wants to talk Minnesota sports, or even just anything Western Conference hockey, Western Conference basketball. Taryn, want to chat with you about volleyball when the Gophers start playing their regular season games in the fall. Yeah. Again, check, and then our sponsors: Planet Jerky Beef Jerky, premium brisket beef jerky, fantastic product. Raw nutrition supplements. You go to rawnutrition.com and use the promo code IESR. Get 10% off your order. Vital Apparel. If you need some workout gear, check it out. 15% off if you use this promo code IESR. So check out all of our sponsors. Check out all of our pages. Go to YouTube, IE Sports Radio on YouTube. Become a subscriber there. Like the videos. You can check out all my previous shows there on that page as well. Spreaker.com, iHeartMedia, Spotify. You can watch or listen to any of my shows. Or any of the shows on the entire sports network can be found there. So definitely want you to check those out. There's just so much good stuff out there, right? We're all working hard to talk about the teams in our area and the teams that we cover. Yeah, check them out. There's so many good shows out there. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and I will see you next Thursday, 7 o'clock Central, here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.